Alright, so welcome to another cheap hammer battle report. Now, I had a little problem with the files of the battle report that I was trying to do. When I put them on my computer, I just put them in the desktop. For some reason, I think the files were corrupted. So, yeah, it ended up crashing, and my files got corrupted and then got wiped up from the desktop. I tried to use a couple of software to recover them without success. And yeah, I pretty much lost the whole footage of the battle report. It didn't last long. It was just, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that it happens. But at the same time, fortunately, I got a couple of videos from the battle report that I was able to recover. And it was actually the ones that I deleted because it was just 2 seconds of I missed one rule or something like that, and I had to repeat the footage. So there's some footage of the battle, but I'm going to try to narrate it as best as possible what happened. But as you can see from the pictures, 2,500 points of Empire against Vampire counts. Now in this case, I actually asked Grok to make a defensive list. I lay the information as clear as possible. And it was in this battleground that you can see in the image. So the Empire on their side, there's like a little farmstead. And the idea is that this is the entrance of a town. There's a watchtower, a bridge, a river, everything. So the idea is that, and this was the instructions that I laid pretty clear to the AI. Construct a list of Empire, 2,500 points. From this inventory list of units that I have available, it has to be a defensive list. You have to have in order in conscience, or at least computer conscience, or whatever you can call that. That it has to be a defensive one. That you have to defend. You have to make it impossible for me in 5 turns, or if a roll gives us the chance, that I reach that end line. So I constructed this list. I gave him the measurements of the end line and everything. And this was the whole list. It was a general of the Empire with full plate armor. It was the general. He had the ogre blade and Lector of Sigmar. No magic weapons. A wizard lord level 4 with battle magic, the wizard staff, and an arcane familiar. An Empire engineer, and I actually add to him the pigeon bombs and the Huckland long rifle. Then for core it was 40, sorry, veteran state troopers with halberdiers, full command and shields. They didn't have any banners. The state missile troops, there were 30 state missile troops with hand weapons, with handguns. It was a detachment unit, and actually that got reduced to 10 because they couldn't fit in the list, so they got reduced to 10. There were another 20 state troops with hand weapons and shield. There were another 10 state missile troops with crossbows and a unit of 20 free company militia, a great cannon, 3 great cannons actually, 2 mortars, 1 steam tank, 1 unit of flatulence, and that was it. I actually tried to add to the list a Hellblaster volley gun and a couple of things, but yeah, I mean, like when I uploaded it to what was it, to what was the name of this thing, I'm forgetting the name, old world builder. It gave me a couple of errors. It was too many points, so they had to be reduced, and this was pretty much what it is. On the left side, from the left of the picture, as you can see, there's the two cannons, the master engineer, the mortar. In front, there's the 20 swordsmen, follow up the 20 militia, follow up by the swordsman and the mage, and the halberdiers. Then it's the gunners on the back, the 10 riflemen, the other cannon, the crossbowmen, the other mortar, the steam tank, and flagellants. So that was, yeah, that was the list. Curious, it doesn't show here. Yeah, steam tank. But yeah, no. And for the wizard spells, it was hammer hand and oaken shield and fireball and pillar of fire. Anyway, let me see if I can see some of the footage that I have over here. All right. Yeah, I mean, like, fortunately, I got just a little bit of footage. I think I got like, yeah. And in this footage that I got, I was testing a small 3D printed tower that you can put the dice on it, and it scrambles the dice, so you don't have to like throw it on the table. But as you can see from over here, in turn one, from what at least from what was visible, I managed to move to get turn one and move substantially to the front. Actually, I forgot to give you my vampire counts list. It was a vampire count with a cackling blade, supernatural horror, he had dark magic, he was a level 1 wizard. And I had another vampire thrall, he was the battle standard bearer, heavy armor, normal hand weapon. And then it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and another 4 vampire thralls, every single one with heavy armor and additional hand weapon. 2 tomb banshees, and then a big block of 72 skeletons and 20 zombies. Another 20 zombies, 10 crypt ghouls, 10 crypt ghouls, 20 zombies again, 2 units of dire wolves, 2 units of 3 spirit hosts each, and the black coach. And my necromancer acolyte actually had only battle lust and Van Hels's Dance Macabre, and he had a power scroll and a lore familiar. And my vampire count had the spell World of Pain, which is a hex, and that's it for 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 spells. I didn't charge my units with a lot of magic, but anyway, I mean, as you can see, turn one, I had it with the vampire counts. I think it was, I throw my power scroll at the beginning, and I casted Van Hels's Dance Macabre, and I got it with 12. So immediately I rolled the dices. I chose movement as the most important one, as one of the attributes, and the second one was initiative. I really didn't care about that one. So I actually got +3, so I moved 7 inches, and I actually used another banner which gave me reserve move. So my big block of skeletons got reserve move. Then the rest of the army just went as followed. The black coach went into ethereal form and marched forward, and the ghouls moved through the forest. Everything started staying a little bit behind because I got so many units that it was kind of difficult to move them all to the front. But yeah, so everything moved to the center in the first round. So I covered a lot of ground. I was already at the middle of the ground by round 1, by my first turn. In the Empire second turn, let me see if I get some footage. Well, in this one, this is already by turn number 3, but the steam tank moved forward, and it landed a couple of shots and used its steam gun against my big unit. Didn't really cause much damage, and then it stayed over there. The rest of the units hold the line to try to like wait for the charges. And then, as you can see, when it was my movement, of course, he laid his mortar and shot all his cannons against my big unit, shot everything, and did a substantial amount of wounds. I think one of the mortar actually landed with a hit on my big unit, took a chunk of my skeletons, of course, because it's like I don't get any armor save, but I had, luckily, my battle standard bearer was carrying the banner of Drakenhof, so I could regenerate on 5+. And the mortar is not flammable, so it allows me to regenerate. Excuse me. And I just proceeded to turn 2 of the vampires. And as you can see, because of the footage, I charge into the unit with the arc lector and my and his general, and yeah, I massacred his unit. It was so many hits by the cackling blade, and I actually threw Van Hell's Lance Macabre, and it didn't get dispelled this time. I didn't throw it with the power scroll, and I managed to land 12 again. So I went for weapon skill as the highest attribute, and initiative as well. Weapon skill got 3 points, and initiative got 1. So of course I was hitting with sometimes weapon skill 9. So I was hitting all my hits from the cackling blade were like at 2s and 2s with -1 armor piercing. So of course they got light armor, and I went for all the hits to the unit. I didn't mind the leaders because I just wanted to make them roll on ones. But they passed the fear test and they passed the terror test incredibly. So they didn't fled, and it was also not -1 to hit. But yeah, the amount of wounds that I managed to do with the vampire count and the vampire thralls, they were way too much. Then he responded with his general of the empire, and of course he landed a couple of wounds. But the ogre blade, of course, it has armor piercing, strength 2, and it does multiple wounds. So he landed a couple of wounds, nothing comparable to mine. And the Lector of Sigmar actually landed one of his, even though that he actually casted, he failed to cast Token Shield, which was a good thing on his unit. And he actually in the his turn before I charge, he was able to cast Pillar of Fire, which, as you can see from this small footage, there's like a little pink template over there, and that was the Pillar of Fire. So he casted it on my unit of skeletons and killed a bunch of them, and then I had to pass through it, so I took more wounds, and then I had to pass like a dangerous terrain test, but I managed to do it. I mean, it's 72 wounds. It's like, it's a massive block. It's unbeatable. And yeah, so I managed to withstand that. And his Lector of Sigmar actually managed to do one of these prayers that allow him to re-roll once in hitting and wounding. So yeah, he hit me again and hit me as hard as possible, but it didn't really matter. And he lost so many ranks. So he lost combat. He had to roll once. He had no battle standard bearer, so he ran and he crashed into his next unit. That was the rifleman. And once the unit flees through another unit, it disappears. So those guys got eliminated. And then I crash into the unit. I think I got the footage of that one. No, this is just an other. So this is the only footage that was available. I crashed into the unit of swordsman, the one that you saw in the first picture, and I managed to land. Uh, well, I mean, it was just the archmage and everything. I mean, he shot me with the grape shot and was able to kill a couple of my wolves and my ghouls and all of those things. But at this point, oh, and also I was able to trap his steam tank with my spirit host. He could just not do anything because he was locked over there in combat. And he could not use grinding wheels or stones or use his weapons because they're ethereal. So there's pretty much nothing he can do. And the two banshees actually landed a wailing dirge, two wailing dirges, and did like 4 wounds in like a round. The spirit hosts actually, because there was so many attacks, it was like 24 attacks, all on 6s, of course, because of the resistance of the steam tank. but it's directly to wound because there's no weapon skill needed, so it's directly to wound. On sixes, they managed to land another 2 hits. So in the first round, it was already 6 hits, 6 wounds on the steam tank. And then by the next round, on the final one, they actually landed another wailing dirge, and his leadership tested so high, so he took so many wounds, and yeah, I destroyed the steam tank completely. And of course, the unit of swordsmen didn't stand a chance, so I wiped them out with my unit. Coming into the last unit, which was overrun, and it was not overrun. So in his turn, I managed to destroy the swordsman, and then by my turn, I charged into the rifleman, which in fact, and I charged also into the what was it? The cannon that was in the left side, and on the militia, they threw some bottles and killed a couple of wounds. It was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, like I charged him with the ghouls, I charged him with the black coach, made impact hits. His flagellants were able to kill some of my dire wolves, and the rest of his things were able to shoot some stuff, but nothing substantial. The flagellants turned around to try to kill my unit of my main unit, or try to stop it, because once I killed the handgunners, I got stopped by the next unit, which was a cannon. I was expecting it to panic and then fly and flee, but it didn't. It hold, and then it stopped my main unit. As you can see it by the next footage, I was able to, wiped out, then kill the cannon. Then I think the other mortar fled, and the other mortar in the other corner, the one that is most right, close to the bridge, that one stayed, but it wasn't able to shoot anything. Steam tank was destroyed. The militia actually managed to kill all of my ghouls, which was interesting with their hits. They killed all my ghouls. And the cannon on the far right, if you're on the position of the Empire, that one actually survived. I managed to make 2 wounds with the dire wolves, and then not much. But in any case, it's like I destroyed everything. The only thing that was alive was the master engineer. But aside from that, there was not really anything else he could do. And I just used my movement with Van Hell's Dance Macabre that gave me 6 movement, and then used my reserve move, and I just covered ground and got to the exit. So yeah, pretty much it's a victory for the vampire counts. I gotta say also, I mean, it's kind of a shame that I lost my all my footage, but it's pretty cool that I actually kept this, like, I don't know if I can call them bloopers, something like that, but at least I have this as a way of keeping I mean, some, how can I say it, some proof that I actually had this battle report, because it was so annoying. I just, like, all of a sudden the folder, the files were corrupted when I passed them. Never land your files. If I can recommend you, just never let your files in your desktop. You never know. My computer has a couple of problems with I think it's with the electricity. I'm not know. But I think in one storm one day, actually it got damaged. So anything that I land over there in the desktop, poof, sometimes it disappeared. It happened to me once, but yeah, well, it's not gonna happen again. It happened again, of course, but in this occasion. But this is sometimes these things can happen. But luckily, I had some footage, so that was good enough to have sufficient, like, proof of the battlefield. It was pretty good. What things that I can note about it is, like, I mean, if you're gonna go against, like, if you're gonna defend against, like, vampires, I mean, a cannon is good. Maybe 1 or 2 cannons. I would just stick to one. If they got a terrorgeist or a dragon or something like that, just put it in a corner or an advantage position, so you can just directly shoot any large targets. They're laser guided. I mean, it's very difficult. Put a master engineer over there. I mean, like, maybe you can put 2 cannons, put them together just in case they get close. You can just grape shot them, which is what happened also to my units. Like, I got grape shot a couple of times, and those things are brutal. They just wipe your units out. If those 3 cannons were, like, maybe in the entrance, and my unit was like stuck trying to get to them, and they would at the same time just maybe trap them, kind of like those tower games where you just like they have like a certain path that they have to follow, and then you just land and land and land and land shots at that unit because that they gotta follow that path. That could have been a much more advantageous or much better kind of like strategy, but Grok didn't knew about my list, and also to be fair, I actually gave him my list so he could prepare his list to destroy my list, to make it a little bit more challenging. But even then, I mean, he created this like shit list that it really doesn't have any counter to the main unit. I mean, the steam tank in a way, but at the same time, I could just land a lot of hits in it, and it would die anyway. And it's like I would say like mortars, yes. Cannon, one, yes. No Hellblaster volley gun, so weird. And the melee, I mean, like the handgunners and crossbowmen, everybody knows in this edition, a lot of the ballistics, if it's not like great weapons, I mean, like big guns and stuff like that, it really sucks. You got so many penalties, and so few units actually have like advantages to overcome those things. Kind of like the wood elves that start with I think they got ballistic skill 5. So even if they move, so when they start shooting, it's at 2s, and if they move, it's at 3s, and when they are at long distance, it's like 4s. So at least they got the average when shooting. As with the Empire, with handgunners, they're already ponderous, so if they move, they cannot shoot. And if they shoot an skirmisher unit, they got a -1, and the long distance is -1 already. So you're looking at 4s, then it's 5s, then it's 6s already. And then if you move maybe with the crossbows or something like that, you're looking at 6s and 1s. So 6s and 2s, sorry, when you get 7s. So it's really not really good in terms of what you can do with it. Maybe you can trap somebody somewhere. As I said, this was kind of a good list too, because something has to go through that narrow corridor. So you can just tarp it, and just throw stuff. Maybe use, but I didn't have the units, and I like to play with what you see is what you get. But you can throw small units and deter the main unit into somewhere. It's like there's so many ways that you could just play this, but this is the way that Grok wanted to get played. And yeah, well, it sucked, and it was pretty easy. It lasted like 4 turns, and it could have lasted like 2. But like the layering that he did, because I asked him as well, like give me a good formation. I sent him a picture, and I told him, okay, here's a list of your stuff. Just and I took a picture of his deployment zone. Just put letters or put numbers from this list, because I enumerated all the units in his list, and just locked in position or put over there in the picture, where do you want each unit, and it gave me that, and I kind of like made this, and it makes sense, but I think it makes sense in its mind in a more decorative way, not in a functional battlefield style wargaming stuff. But anyway, victory for the vampire counts. Hopefully I can just remake this battle, and I have some more clear footage of what happened without all these mistakes. um but yeah, hope you don't mind this like cheap format as the old ones used to be. But accidents happen, and that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.